on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show of the Codex podcast. We're back to the usual three, as I am your host, Sonny Kruger, and I'm joined by Mighty Mike and the Ric Flair of comics himself, Uncle Gary.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
So here we go. So first things first, I gotta start the show off, and I have to apologize. I could be a man. I can apologize when I do something. So everyone, I apologize that last week I was not here and that you had to deal with Jamie hosting the show. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, how did it go? I did not tune in to see. Was it?
Well, they're not me. There's only one Sonny Kruger. So
you say that like it's a good thing.
There's not many people could be as humble as me, and
I'm like that too.
They still did a good job.
I get that because I used to be conceited, but now I'm perfect.
There you go.
So how was your vacay?
It was really good. I went to Disney World there. In Florida, I went to Disney World. So it was nice to be there with family and just being in there. I hadn't been there since 1997. So
oh, wow.
I was a young boy. Now I'm a young man.
So what was your favorite ride? Did you go to the other parks?
So the 25-year ban on you was over and you were allowed back in the park?
I've been over 25 years.
So is that what happened? It just expired and they said, all right, you got back in?
I swear, when I was a kid, my Mickey almost fell over, but he didn't fall and he made it back safe. So nothing was broken. I was not kicked out.
So you almost put your Mickey in somebody's Minnie?
No, it almost fell over where the monorails came.
And you got a 25-year ban. Well,
always good. But
so did you enjoy what did you enjoy most?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about if it was nice to see the cast of the Disney show at the end, but then also I always love Space Mountain. That's right. I always love Space Mountain.
And were you Disney World or Disneyland?
Disney World in Florida.
So you're Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
did you do the I'm thinking Disney, does that have the Guardians of the Galaxy ride?
That I believe is in Hollywood. I didn't get to go to Hollywood Studios. So we went to Magic Kingdom, went to Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
Went to Legoland. Yeah, so we weren't there too long, but made the most of our days there. Yeah. The Avatar ride in Animal Kingdom was another favorite of mine, and then the Mount Everest ride, which you go up, and then suddenly it surprises you, and you go back down.
Oh, cool!
What good times! Yeah.
So did Maria go with you?
Yeah. So
yeah. Did you take her? Or did she take you?
More if she took me.
Well, sometimes that's better when they take you.
Well, it's good, and I can see you. I think you'll be okay in Legoland. If you were in Action Figure Land, oh hell no. Legoland, I think that was all right for you. It's hard to destroy those blocks.
They break. They're supposed to come apart.
Yeah. And actually, for 4th of July, we were there on 4th of July that day. Well, it was Legoland Day, and they had a fireworks show, and they gave us these glasses. And when you put them on, the fireworks looked like it was Legos.
Oh, really?
So
that's
it was
cool.
Yeah, that's cool, unique. How often?
Yeah,
when's next time I'll do that?
Sonny, that's called acid.
Coming home or coming back to the Airbnb, Maria was driving, and I put them on to look. In some of the regular lights, I could see it. I'm like, man, this is like, a scene in the movies. They said when someone's high on drugs. It's the closest I'll ever be since I've never done drugs. Never plan to do any drugs either.
Sonny, me neither. Me
Good.
neither.
Clean guys.
Mike either.
No, not me.
No.
Convicted, never convicted.
There you go.
There's no record anywhere of that.
Nope. Can't prove nothing.
Can't prove nothing.
Innocent. No, not saying nothing.
I'm very excited. This is what the things that excite me is I got clear boards.
Ooh, I need some of those, Mike. Nice. How much?
Yeah. I put one in my Justice League 200.
Oh, I need them. Oh man.
Let me give you a bit of a bigger spot right there.
Yeah,
so it's just plastic, right?
Yeah, it's just plastic. I'll bring you over some.
Yeah, what do they run for? I mean, how do they sell them? Hundreds, tens? What?
I bought them by 50 pack. online through Comics Pro Line.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were, I can't remember exactly how much they were, but they weren't god awful. So
yeah, I need some of that. I think I need to get some of that. That's
yeah,
all.
I put one.
I think this was the drugs talking. Boosh said, "Me either."
There you go, Boosh.
Stay clean.
Yeah, I need some of those.
Enjoy the show.
And that was for your JLA 200 that's signed, right, baby?
Yeah, and this is my the JLA Avengers.
Oh, yes.
I'm making you bigger, Mike. Come on.
So,
well, you know how I solved that with my JLA Avengers?
You buy two.
I buy two.
Yeah.
Put one in front ways and one in back ways. So that's how I solved that problem. Right. Yeah. So, I guess you could solve every book that way, right? You can solve every.
So it's pretty cool. I just bought 50.
Oh, I like that. Nice. I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you picked out all 50 yet, or some you're kind of up in the air about what's gonna go?
Yeah, some of them up there. I'm thinking a lot of the Perez ones with the wraparound covers.
Nice.
You know, so I've got to go back through and find which ones that which ones have those.
So good.
Yeah.
And we didn't tell everybody that today, we're in Superman. There's a certain Superman movie coming out this week. So today we are reviewing Superman for all seasons.
Even got mine autographed by Jeff Loeb.
Nice.
Yeah, mine autographed by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Nice. You got me on that one.
Autograph. Loeb signed it after Sale had passed away, and he says whenever he signs a book that Tim has signed, he throws that heart in there.
Wow.
So that's kind of neat that meant something to him. So I have a few signed, but because I had never met Loeb until Mike and I met him in Baltimore last year.
Yeah.
Nice guy too. Really nice.
Very nice guy. And just one of the big regrets is never meeting Tim Sale.
Yeah, I had a couple opportunities with him. He's really kind of laid back and soft spoken, but well worth.
His art in The Long Halloween is just
perfect. It's perfect, man.
Yeah.
In The Long Halloween, that was the episode where I think we had the most 10 out of 10s. Everyone was giving 10s, and everybody in the audience was like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. So now we'll see what happens tonight when we review Superman for all seasons. But I didn't show you who mine is signed by.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Look at that.
Nice. Looks like nobody.
Superman.
That's a big nothing.
Do you see it, Uncle Gary?
Superman signed it.
Is it invisible ink?
Yeah, it's no signature.
Sue Storm
signed by nobody.
Sue Storm signed it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Sonny puts them Lego glasses on, and he's probably got a whole lot of signatures on there.
Yeah, really?
Oh, look at that. But everybody, that was one story that I got, and of course, where did I get it? In the mail. So it's perfect time for me to say, it's mail call.
All right.
Today, I got some stuff.
Sweet.
I finally added Deadpool Wolverine to my collection of Blu-rays.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah. I didn't get too much. There's that sale going on Amazon. Earlier we were talking how we were saying there's if you get two, you get one free. But I also got the movie. I finally got the Terminator to my collection, 1 through 6.
Ooh, look at you.
There were 6?
Yeah, they started adding more. I haven't even seen them all.
I didn't know there were 6 either.
Yeah, and then one of my favorite shows is Dexter.
Nice. So what a surprise! What a surprise that the man who mutilates action figures' favorite show is Dexter. I am stunned at that.
It goes even further, Uncle Gary. My dog / brother Dexter, may he rest in peace.
You slashed your brother?
Well, I say dog.
Your dog slashed your brother? You teaching your dog how to use weapons?
Dexter was super. He could be super tough if he want, but he was always very laid back and relaxed. He was named Dexter.
Nice.
After a certain show.
Wow. Nice.
And what's surprising is people used to tell me before I watch it, Sonny, you got to watch it. Something about the character kind of reminds me of you. Because he thinks a lot. Because he was a thinker, and I think a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why that character in Toy Story, we because he's a thinker. That's why we relate him to you.
No, not Sid. I don't know what that one's.
Yeah, you and Sid. That's right. Because Sid's a deep thinker that just destroys things.
He's a misguided kid. Sometimes you just need a bit of guidance.
Yep.
So Sonny said he's misguided when he reformed.
Well, who knows? They haven't done an update on Sid.
Hmm?
You never know. Maybe when there's a Toy Story 5 or something.
Isn't there coming one?
Probably, I think so. Yeah, who knows when, but who knows? Maybe Sid will be
Look,
return. Maybe
I'm not
that'll be
gonna
my
lie.
big break. Maybe they'll ask me to voice Sid.
Was it
there
Toy
we go.
Story 3 where they were on the conveyor belt to Doom and they were going to be incinerated?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, that was I might have had dust in my eye on that.
I remember once I was like, "There's no way they can do that. There's no
I
way."
mean, and then was it 4 where Andy gave the toys to the little girl?
3, because then 4 is about like the girl has.
Yeah.
Them.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, dust in my eye again.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who loves action figures and is very good to his action figures. Toy Story meant a lot to me. I'm like, because I always cared. Like, that's like if I gave away my toys, but I still have not.
Mm.
As you saw, some of them they're still, in the boxes, and even though they've taken some damage, every now and then a tail fell off or a middle finger came off.
He's got one action figure, and it's in. Look, he's got one action figure in 5 different boxes. What does that tell you?
Hey, after a while, it's the moving. Sometimes I move here, move there, and then you open the box, and how did his leg come off?
Sonny, you just love him to pieces, don't you?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
How did Nimrod's leg come off again?
Nimrod.
Yeah, I did have a Nimrod toy. I don't know why they made the toy like his shoulders were as high as his head, and then in episodes and comics he was regular. I don't know why.
Because
some of those old toys were
that made it harder for little deviants to rip their heads off.
Yeah, how would you rip his head off? Yeah,
that's why they did that, because they knew there were little Sonny Krugers running around ripping heads.
Yeah,
ripping heads and taking names.
Yeah,
you could look on places. You could buy figures where it's literally just like the body and there's no head and no arms.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, Sonny knows this. See, this is again too much information. This is the little Dexter in him that goes by and looks for little websites of mutilated action figures.
It's on the big ones, It's on Amazon. It's on eBay. I don't know why, but maybe it's for people who, when they make their own figures, like they want so and so's body.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's my guess.
That's what you're doing. You're just making your own figures.
Maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah.
It just occurred to him now that that's a way to sugarcoat what he's doing.
Maybe.
That's a way to hide his abuse. Oh yeah, I'm making figures. That's what I'm doing.
Making figures.
I'm not torturing them. No, I'm making figures.
Hey Sal.
Hey Sal.
The slab man.
The slab man. I got him. I put back a shiny History of the DC Universe for him today. Because he didn't get one, and he got a shiny one.
So excited.
Mm-hmm.
So excited.
I got to get to reading that.
Yeah,
I was very interested. I'm very interested in it, so it should be good. Has anybody started reading it yet or no?
Oh,
yeah, I read the first issue.
I mean, it's all text. There's no, there's no sequential action. It's just a text piece of pictures and and splash pages and all. But it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if this is retconned or not, but Rex the Wonder Dog is related to Pooch.
Yes,
like Gunner and Sarge.
Yes. That's one thing I meant to ask you about that I had never heard that.
I had never heard that either.
Yeah.
Sal says, does anyone get to run through the jungle, Gary?
Sal, right here for you, baby. You want to run through the
jungle? Look out.
Yeah, run through the jungle, baby.
Oh, for Sal.
We're
going rated R, baby.
Guys, we've got some things.
Look, this jungle's 61 years old now, baby. Run through it.
Hey, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, buddy.
Speaking of jungles and stuff, Uncle Gary, we've got something that's dripping and we want to give them to everybody.
Yeah, we need penicillin for that. But besides that, what we have is we are on all the socials, every single one of them. Look at us. You just know that we are positively infected up to here with them. And we'd like nothing better than to give them to you, baby.
That is right. And Mike, do you know where people can get merch and they can meet the team and more?
You get to meet the team. You get to find out about them. You get some merch, some T-shirts, some buttons, everything in the world at thecodexstation.com.
That is right.
Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want it?
maybe one of these days we'll have a Sonny.
We need a Sonny Kruger t-shirt.
No, we need a Sonny Kruger Build-A-Figure, and they would be different pieces from different figures that he has mutilated.
I don't know about the figures I mutilated, but just giving me action figures and stuff like that to put together. I
think it's different figures he's mutilated from his box of body parts.
Box of misfit toys.
Yeah.
A bunch of middle fingers and tails.
Mm.
But guys, there's also the picture is not on the side, but again, Codex is having a giveaway. You can get some great comic books. You can get some Superman comics. Yeah, everyone. You can also get the first appearance of Metamorpho. Yeah, so again, enter. Make sure you subscribe to the Codex station. And remember, when it comes to Instagram and everywhere, you can, when you tag in people, you get more entries. So if you tag 50 people, you get 50 entries. So again, Codex's July giveaway, some Superman comic books.
Yeah, I love entries.
I love multiple entries.
Yeah, entry, enter, exit, enter, exit, enter, exit. I mean, yeah.
Meatball sub, boosh, man. Meatball sub.
Yeah, we in the comments, we got some a conversation about some meatball subs.
Yeah.
And now I'm hungry.
Before we get too hungry, we'll just jump onto the actual show then.
You want to starve on the pre-show?
Yeah.
All
right. Let's talk about entries. Let's enter the main show.
Entrez-vous.
Oh, sorry, I was just dancing there.
No problem. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the official show of the Codex Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Sonny Kruger, joined by my co-hosts, Mighty Mike and Uncle Gary.
Hello.
I had a birthday yesterday.
Thank you. Yep, turned 61. I am a year past geezerhood, so I'm just keep geezer plus one.
Uncle Gary, you're still doing good.
Yeah. All of us should look so good at geezerhood.
well, Mike, you got a year and a half toward geezerhood, but
gotta start pushing up.
Yes. Well, they say it's earth downs.
Earth downs.
I did 420 earth downs today.
Nice.
So,
in 40 years, when I'm your age, I hope I look half as good as you. I'm not that much younger than you. Just playing. I'm not that much younger. But Uncle Gary, it was your birthday.
Thank you.
I'm a Chicago guy, and I've got some connections here.
Uh-oh.
So I got in touch with a certain lady.
Who
wanted to tell you happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm afraid about this. There you go.
There you go. Heavy flow. Happy birthday, Uncle Gary.
Wow. You know what? I could have done without that. Thank you.
That's a visual I'll never unsee.
Yeah, and I'm sure that greeting's written in blood. I don't need. Yep, heavy flow. Thank you for that. That is. I cannot unsee that now. I need a spoon to gouge out my eyes now. Thank you for that.
There wasn't much red. Look at that. Most of the red was taken out. There's still some.
Oh, that is all. And look, she got little bitty boots. How's she got little bitty feet?
She get little bitty boots.
How's she get little bitty feet?
Yeah. Little tiny feet.
Wow.
Dan, if you're on Dan Kelly, he put Swamp Thing on your page for your birthday.
I got swamp cakes. Yes. See, that was acceptable. You giving me heavy flow is not acceptable. This is why I'm gonna ride you all the time about action figure dismemberment.
How would you feel if I hit a heavy flow action figure?
Oh God. Oh my God, that would be terrible. I'd hate to see what accessories she comes with.
Sonny,
Even
why are your
marinara.
hands all red?
Wow, that'd be terrible. Oh my God, Sonny.
Why is there red all over the wall and a hole in the wall?
Oh, dear
Terrible.
God.
See, a lot of times people want to think that Mike and I are that we are bad influences and corrupting of you, but you are mama's little deviant and have always been corrupted. So the people that look at you and see an innocent little cherub are not seeing the real red icing. Oh, that's so wrong, dude. They're not seeing the real Sonny that Mike and I know. We know your mama's little deviant. You're corrupted.
Yeah. She says I'm her good son.
Oh my God! What is the other one? A mask?
What are the brothers like, for God's sake?
Yeah, my Jesus. Yeah, they're all mask murderers, Mike.
No, his brother Freddie.
That's right. Yeah, Freddie. Yeah, that's right. His older brother.
His name is Eddie, not Freddie.
Eddie.
Sonny has at least left his murdering ways to toys. He hasn't gone to people yet, so that's why he's the good son.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay good.
You stay good.
All right. If I was to come across a heavy flow action figure, would you want me to take care of it, or would you want me to destroy it?
I'd want you to never ever let me know you have one, and just keep it to yourself.
Well, I don't know if there's any action figures if anybody's made one.
What you and your heavy flow do in your own home is your business, and you don't need to let me know.
Hey, Jamie.
there's the eye.
There's Jamie. Jamie he ought to have a thing where the hand is covering the eyes. Yeah.
So again, I promise everybody, last week it was Jamie and Dan, and Jamie said, "See you guys the next one," and I said, "No, I need to come back. I need to return. It needs to be the 3 again."
Yeah. Sonny was feeling the heat, Jamie. He was a little worried that you were making inroads into his kingdom.
I was like, "No way. We started this together, but
you kicked him off the side of the mountain." Is that what you did?
You came and then you made him feel uncomfortable, and then he left.
Oh, is that what it was? That's what it was, that I made him uncomfortable. I don't think that's the case.
Well, I think it was the F list.
Probably the F list. Okay.
The heavy flow.
But there was Ruby Tuesday, her name was Ruby Thursday, I believe. And on the episode, he's like, "I think I'm done with the show." And then he missed a couple weeks, and then he's like, "Guys, I'm going to be leaving soon." What if it was?
Sonny figured he keep throwing stinkers out there. Eventually, Jamie would leave. So Sonny's playing.
Or Dung got on the list.
Dung. Oh my God.
Dung. Jeez.
Yeah, another freaking Eric Larson creation.
And Uncle Gary, it's your birthday, so I said, who better than to have join the F list than an Eric Larson creation from Savage Dragon?
Oh God.
I said, it's got to be for your birthday. But yeah, we've got a lot going on. Yes, today, we have another Savage Dragon character who will be joining the F list. We have a random panel of the week. Somebody needs a marijuana reefer.
Marijuana.
We need some Mary Jane.
Reefer madness.
And it's not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Uncle Gary's got the 5 statements for right or wrong. We'll be reviewing Superman for all seasons.
I have 5 statements today.
That's right.
Did I agree to that?
You did. I reminded you yesterday. You would say, make sure I remind you. So there you go. You got the note. I did make sure to remind us. Let me remind him.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and you did it in a sneaky way. You did it on my birthday greeting.
Hey, happy birthday!
Happy birthday! You owe me 5 statements.
Yeah. See, Bruce says Sonny with a heavy flow figure paints a pretty bloody picture.
Heavy flow figure with water cannon action.
Ooh.
Jimmy said the most views in podcast history list week. Guys, last week. You're welcome, brother. LOL. But it wasn't the most. It was not the most. I can't remember what's our most viewed episode. If it is the first one, when it was me and Jamie, or the most viewed episode is it was the original 3. It was me, Jamie, and Tim, and we reviewed Exo Man of War because it was like naked butts, big bugs, and a lot of violence. And that one is still to this day the most viewed Codex podcast episode. And back to the Savage Dragon talk. Boost says Savage Dragon rules. It's fun. It's comics get. Yeah, a lot of fun. I say, hey, I love looking at Savage Dragon. Find all those F-listers.
It's hunting ground for you.
Yes.
So it is. Yeah, there's certain comics I'm like, where could I find some? All right. Savage Dragon.
Legion of Superheroes.
Yes, the
Now you're crossing that line.
No, just to celebrate your birthday, I won't be giving the Legion.
Along with the Legion, baby.
Gotta get those Brown Lining rings from Chris.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll have them next week. Next week there's a outing. Me, Mighty Mike Harbor, Chris Swartzlander, and Andrew Clem are going to the Frazetta Museum in Pennsylvania.
Nice, have fun, guys.
That will be a nice outing. So if anybody wants to meet us there in Pennsylvania, you certainly can.
Yep.
All right, guys. There's also been a bit of comic book news.
Sweet.
So I will get us started with the rundown. First, we got some sad news over the week, and that is the actor Julian McMahon passed away. He's known for playing Dr. Doom, and one of my all-time favorite shows, he played Dr. Christian Troy on Nip Tuck.
That was a great show.
That was a great show.
One of my
the blonde on that show,
Kimber Henry.
Yeah. Oh. Damn.
And then there has been some other news going on, and that is this one's a little bit different. I was like, did I read that right? DCU's going to have a Korean show about Huntress, and they've cast the actress who will play Huntress, and that is Pom Klementieff. She is known for playing Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, really?
Yep. So
wow, that's
to
interesting.
play Huntress, and it is said to be more of a Korean show, and that most of it's going to be in Korean.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
There's a different on things, yeah.
I think that's an interesting casting. Back on an actor that we lost this past week, I want to give a little bit of love to Michael Madsen. I loved him in Reservoir Dogs and in the Kill Bill movies. And
Sin City, he's been a lot, yeah.
And Thelma and Louise. He
was a guy too, I believe.
What a face! Yeah, and his sister Virginia Madsen.
Oh,
she's an actress too. Beautiful, beautiful, very fetching, very great actress. She had a couple statements about him that were just wonderful. I wish I could remember the phrase she used. It was just a really wonderful tribute that she used for her big brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and I forgot that, or I didn't realize that they were related, because I know Michael Madsen from a lot of movies we watched, like you mentioned Reservoir Dogs and Thelma and Louise. It said, Sin City he was in.
Sin City, that's right. Yeah.
Virginia Madsen too. I remember her in Candyman, and then there's movie Sideways. So she's been in quite a bit too, but I didn't realize they were related. Yeah, that they were related until I saw that she had, like you said a lot of nice things. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, I didn't even put it together.
Yep.
Wow.
And then we do have some other news, some good news, some X-Men news that I'm excited about, and that's some updates on the sequel to the Age of Apocalypse, and that is the sequel will be the Age of Revelation. So here's some images came out. This is from Age of Revelation 0. It begins here. You see Wolverine there. He's got like most of his face, most of the skin is off. You see a lot of the adamantium. You see, I think it's Beast looking pretty gray in the back.
Yeah.
And then here's an image from issue number 1. Yeah, X-Men Age of Revelation Overture. And look at it, we got Cyclops there where he's got a full beard with a gloop with a gun with like a shotgun on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jed McKay.
Yes, Jed McKay will be writing. So that is to start in October, and boys, it's gonna be huge. I think it's gonna be bigger than the original.
It's going to cross over to all 500 X-Men books.
Yeah. So what's
there, bud. True that.
The other titles so far, this is just for October. Amazing X-Men, Unbreakable X-Men, Binary, Cloak or Dagger, Long Shots, Omega Kids, Sinister's 6, Undeadpool, Expatriate X-Men, the last
Expatriate.
Wolverine.
Expatriate.
Yeah, but they added an extra E to the end.
Okay.
Yes, Expatriate. Yeah, we'll call it that. The Last Wolverine, Laura Kinney Sabretooth, Iron and Frost, Rogue Storm, Radioactive Spider-Man, X-Vengers, and X-Men Book of Revelation. So 16 of them on that starting October 1st.
Luckily, I don't read the X-Men books.
That's a lot to go through. I don't know.
Age of Apocalypse is one of my all-time favorite stories. There it is. But man, that's a lot to go like 16 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many months are they going to go? If it's 1 month, okay, but is it going to be a 4-issue,
6-issue,
12
issue?
I think it's going to continue at least for a couple months. I'd be surprised if it was 1 month. And Dan says, Gloop has a gap.
Ubu back.
All right, but first, because even Dan mentioned Julian McMahon as well. We did mention, so I guess Dan just joined us. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Let me talk a little bit about Julian McMahon, who is, how we mentioned, playing Dr. Doom. But Nip Tuck is one of my all-time favorites. I have the whole series on DVD. And there he is right there. And they played Dr. Christian Troy. So when I first saw the pilot of Nip Tuck, I was 13 or something, and I remember being in awe of the show. Just everything, the story, the acting, the music, the style, just everything. I was in awe of how amazing this show was, and I continued to love the show every week. I was like, it was awesome. It was amazing. It was amazing. And one day, eventually my time when now I'm into making films and writing stories, and I say, I want to give people, a lot of times I look back to that first time watching Nip Tuck and saying that feeling I got of, wow, this is amazing. I want people to feel that way with the stuff that I do. And Julian McMahon's performance as Dr. Christian Troy was amazing. And, for those who don't know the show, he was a true ladies' man on the show. He would sweet talk any lady on there. And I remember as a teen thinking, one day I'm going to get ladies like that. So, Julian McMahon.
Good goal to have.
And like I said, Michael Madsen, rest in peace as well.
Yeah, he had a really Julian had a really good career. He was on Charmed for a couple of years.
Yeah, before Charmed. Yeah,
some of the FBI shows.
Yeah, that was more recently. Like, the FBI show, and he had a career before because he's an Australian actor. He had a career, in Australia before crossing over to the U.S.
from down under.
Yeah, and last week, Jamie and Dan did a lot talking about it, but Jim Shooter had passed away.
Yeah.
So they talked about, obviously the comic community lost one of their
Mike and I saw him in
just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the end of the last day of May and the first day of June, and it was his second year at the Big Lick show, and I had seen him the year before and had some really good interactions with him. He signed my Avengers 160, which is one of my favorite standalone issues. Didn't we review that one? That's the Wonder Man and Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Standalone book. And I got to tell him that was one of my favorite issues. And we got to talk Legion superheroes that he started writing when he was 13 years old. Really, really good conversations. I saw him this year and he looked so frail. He looked so weak. He was in a wheelchair. I just didn't have the heart to go up, and I probably should have, but I didn't want to ruin that memory I had from last year, because just from looking at him from a little bit of a distance, it was pretty obvious he wasn't going to be around for long.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of conflicted as to whether I should have, greeted him and wished him well and all that. But just part of me didn't want to alter that last real memory I had with him.
I can understand. I can see why, but
yeah, but he looked very frail. Mike, Chris, and I had all said that, and Mark Nathan, who runs the Baltimore Comic Con, he said, "Yeah, this is probably going to be his last show." And sure enough, he was a scheduled guest at Heroes Con, and he, wasn't able to make that. So
Jim Shooter, also rest in peace. No more pain, no more sickness. And before we move on, Dan was talking about let's see. I think with the X-Men, he said that's too many.
Yeah, it is.
And he did say Nip Tuck was a great show. Like I said, yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I own the DVD of the first 2 seasons, I think.
Nice. Those are my favorites. I watched the whole show, but those are my favorites. And then we said, yeah, he was Alyssa Milano's boyfriend on Charmed. Yeah, and I know he had dated, or I'm not too sure if he had seen Shannon Doherty, but she had passed away the other year now. And we were, because both of them were very young, they were both in their 50s. I know Julian McMahon was 56.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way young.
Yeah, too young. Some might say, so we got there, and we were
7, I think.
Who's?
I think he was 6. I think Madsen was 67, I believe, which isn't tremendously old.
Yeah. 67, as well. And then I do want to go back to talking a bit about that Huntress show. Listen, it's in the works, so nothing's like settled. But like right now, how they did cast Pom as the lead, and I think it's different. It's risky, I do like taking risks. I gotta give respect for taking risks.
Yeah.
I wonder how the show will be. Especially if most of it's in Korean, but I do think that nowadays people are starting to get more used to watching shows that are in other languages with subtitles. Yeah, like Squid Game is like one of the most popular shows in the world, and that's not in English. And people who I know who had never watched any shows with subtitles are like, oh, I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say that a movie or a show is really good that has subtitles when you forget you're reading.
Yeah.
And you're so engrossed you forget you're reading subtitles.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There have been some movies like that. And even too with my long journey to learn Spanish, I've watched a couple of shows in there. A show about a singer named Luis Miguel, La Serie. And I watched all 3 seasons. And I did say, Maria did say, do you eventually want to go back to English? And I said, no, keep it in Spanish. I don't want the mouths to be off. I'd rather read it.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It would annoy me. I'm like, I'll read it, and if I miss something, I can rewind.
It's like all the bad kung fu movies I watched as a kid, Oh, I will kill you now. You have dishonored my master.
Yeah, and then use the mouth open. Yeah, so I think it's risky, but we'll see if it takes off. If you never know, it might not be so popular here. It could be a huge hit in Korea.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with the Huntress. All right, guys. One might say, some may think it's a good idea. Some may say that it's insane. We'll see what happens.
Oh no!
And now that leads us to our next segment. Everybody, you know how it goes. The dancing time is over. You had about a minute to dance, and now it's time to pick out the comic book that you think had the most variance this week.
Is this the time on Sprockets when we dance?
Would you like to touch my monkey?
All the time.
All right, guys. Any guesses?
There are 3 candidates, and I can't remember the third one. One is FF1. One is Archie, and there's an Archie book today, and I can't remember what the third one was. Mike, do you?
No, as I was just thinking, I didn't really look.
Under the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Oh, yeah. That's a good book.
I'm going to pick FF1.
I think I'm going to go Under the Trees.
All right, so we got Fantastic Four and Under the Trees. And Booze comes in with Transformers.
Oh.
Yeah. And that reminds me to talk a little bit about how just to give people more time to guess, Kodak Station has the new content, their creator series going on. That Jamie's been interviewing a lot of creators that he finds in. Most recently, one of the creators, Transformers was the comic book that first got him into comic books. So that made me think of that. Yeah. So Kodak Station has new series, creators, and Jamie talking to other content creators. We're not the only people who do shows about comic books. As comic book people have taken over, and we've got many shows. And we're all over.
We are wall to wall, treetop tall.
Dan Kelly comes in with Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob.
That was it. Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob. Yeah,
good one, Dan.
That was the Archie one.
I'll let you all guess a couple more. There are places. How we were talking about how we have people all over. The comic book people all over. You could find. Sell the Slab Guy. It sells the Comic Corner. There's Dan Kelly at Dan Kelly Art. You can find Uncle Gary at Comic Logic. For the comic books, I'm going to have to change that because they have Rick spelled a different way.
Rick. Okay.
And then there's this guy named Mighty Mike Harbor, who's the keeper of Uncle Gary.
That's a full-time job there.
What I do.
He's got a heavy-duty chain link leash. They're just, I remember one of the most incredible photographs I've ever seen was a dude walking the streets of Mogadishu with a heavy link chain walking a hyena. And that's what Mike has to do. He's got the heavy link chain. He's walking. But yeah, that's like one of the most incredible pictures I've ever seen. How do you even? Listen. I've got to go. I'm done. If I see that walking down the street, I'm done. That is not a street for me to be on.
Nope.
I'm kind of interested in that street to see what else is going on.
Yeah, what else is on that street?
Yeah.
Remember, no king shaming here.
No king shaming.
No king shaming. Okay. No
yeah,
king shaming. That's right.
We got Mighty Mike is the keeper of Uncle Gary. Who look at that? I've updated it. Uncle Gary.
There we go. Woo! Thank you.
And then of course I'm Sonny Kruger, and you can just type in Sonny Kruger, and the internet should lead you to me.
Oh, there he goes. Look at him. Or just type in Mama's Little Deviant.
No, don't. I don't know what you'll find with that, but you won't find me with that.
You might find something fun, but not,
you might.
You might find interesting things, but not.
That'd be the code XXX station.
Yeah. Hey, someone's gonna be typing that in, thinking it's real. And one day we're gonna get famous enough where people are gonna start
parody sites.
Yeah, that's not me naked. Okay, but back to Variant Insanity. We had Under the Trees for Mighty Mike. We had Fantastic Four for Uncle Gary. We had Transformers for Booge. And we had Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob for Dan. And one of you is right.
Ooh.
Person who was right?
Dan.
Uncle Gary.
Oh, his name.
Gary.
Uncle Gary. Fantastic Four, #1, has the most variants this week.
Really? Wow.
Look at that. Every now and then a blind squirrel finds an acorn, ladies and gentlemen.
So how many covers do you think Fantastic Four 1 hit? Excuse me for burping.
I'm going to say they had 4 times 4, 16.
I say 12.
All right, anybody in the audience? I'm going to guess. No, I already know. I get the info from Sal, the Slab Guy, who is the one who keeps Variant Insanity going. He's the one who made it. He was the one who did the intro.
He's the one that's buying every cover.
Yeah.
And it says 50.
Yeah. That's how Sal knows.
And if it's Venom, he's buying multiple copies of those. Yeah. So like if there's 50 Venoms, he's getting at least 100. And Dan Kelly comes in with 50. Boosh comes in with 35.
Wow.
Sal has Vengasms.
All right, everybody. I forgot to do the countdown before, but right now I'll do the countdown. The 10, 9, 8, the 7, the 6, the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, the 1. This week, Fantastic Four, issue #1, had a total of 20 covers.
Wow.
20.
So, 20.
Ooh.
Uncle Gary, you're the closest without going over.
So Price is Right rules. 16.
So, there you go. And last week, it was It was Captain America #1 with 14 covers.
Look at Marvel. Marvel coming in with multiple covers.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. Marvel, I think that's probably a first. I think since we've had Variant Insanity, I think first time that Marvel is coming 2 times in a row.
Marvel says they're going to take that title from Boom or Dynamite.
Dynamite's like, okay, we see we're letting you enjoy the summer, but in September when the summer's over, we're releasing 70 variants for Thundercats.
Yeah, we found a vendor, so now we can get away with it.
Yeah.
They had to tone it down while they were looking for a vendor or a distributor, rather.
Yeah, like I said, right now they're toning it down. Like, see,
tone it down. We'll be good. We'll play good. We won't do a million variant covers.
And once they sign that contract, boom,
bam, it's on. Yeah,
release all those covers. The audience, the fans, they want 80 Thundercats covers, 80 TMNT covers, and then next month it's Thundercats' special 18th issue, so it needs 99 covers. Yeah. We miss you, Dynamite. We miss you those wild numbers. Uncle Gary, we move on to right or wrong. And you are the man with the 5 statements.
Oh, look, it's blank. What will I say? Oh, maybe I'll read that side.
Okay, there you go.
All right, here we go. Statement 1. The Superman movie will be this year's box office champ.
Right.
I would say correct.
All right, there we go. All right, I'm leaning that way too, fellas. So this is very Superman-centric, by the way, which is appropriate. After Lex Luthor, Brainiac is Superman's top villain.
I'm going to say wrong.
Ooh.
Look at that. It's a familiar one.
That's a tough one.
Comics.
Hey,
You're going to say Wes?
Gum.
what's up, Wes?
I would say right. I would say right to that one.
So, okay, so you say right, and I say wrong. Right. For #1, Bush said right. Okay, so you say Brainiac.
After Luthor, Brainiac is Superman's top villain. After Luthor, Brainiac. Yep. All right, #3. Sonny Kruger is the action figures what Kryptonite is to Superman.
Oh, true.
Wrong with all capitals.
Slam dunk.
Wrong.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Good job, Mike.
No.
Yeah. I think you're gonna be the only one that disagrees with that one, Sonny. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right, #4. Crypto is the greatest superhero pet.
I don't know. Big fan of Bat Cow.
I am too. And Ace. And Beth. Well,
I like Dexter a lot, but right now
he's not a pet though, is he?
No. Well,
he's
kind of his own critter. Yeah, but he is. You know, he likes Atrocitus a lot. But yeah.
But I'm gonna go with, is Crypto the best pet in comic books? I'm gonna say right.
I'll say right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too. All right, here we go. Last one. In the history of comic books, the entire history, Action Comics #1 is the most important comic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that too. When we go through it, we can go in depth on why, but I agree with that too.
Yeah. Right. Dynamite Booge, that's a good one.
Dynamite is good.
Who was the first sidekick pet? Maybe Crypto? I wonder who it was.
You know what? Crypto was in a 1950. It was Adventure Comics 210. I'm going to say that's like 1954 or 55. And I'm pretty sure that beats any Ace the Bat Hound. Maybe another, the Marvel family, I know they had Hoppy, but was he a pet? They had Hoppy Marvel, so maybe he was ahead of that. So,
right now I just searched it online, and, well, At least AI says that the first significant superhero pet is Crypto.
Okay.
That's who it still has. So.
Does it say the year? I think it was 54, 55.
It says Adventure
Comics
210.
Yep.
1955.
55. Okay. Well, I was right. 54, 55. Yep.
Cool. Wonder what the price of that book is.
Expensive. I don't have that book. I'd like to have that book. I just bought a DC Finest collection that had the that book in there. And that book was they distributed a facsimile of that a few weeks ago, and they messed it up so it was not available for purchase. Comic shops had to hold it.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the individual issue. Yeah.
So all right, let's go back to all the questions. Number 1.
Superman. The current Superman movie that's coming out this week will be this year's box office champ.
And I believe everybody had right for that one.
Yeah, I believe it will be. I don't know that anything will trump that. So
yeah, I don't think so. Wait, Madam Web 2. No.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a contender. And I know Jurassic Park just made a shit ton of money last week, but I mean, I don't think that it'll have the staying power, because I know some people that love to watch dinosaurs eat people and said the movie was no good. So even for dumb thrills, he didn't like it. So I just, and the Superman movie seems to be getting pretty good reviews.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of belief in it. I'm thinking it's going to dominate for a while.
Me too. Okay, so I think most everybody's on agreement there, right?
Everybody had right.
Right.
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2, after Luthor, Brainiac is Superman's top villain.
Let's see. Booge had right. Dan Kelly had right. I was the one who said I don't think so.
Yeah, I say right. I think it is Brainiac too.
And who do you think, Sonny?
When I look, I would say Darkseid. I think I give it to Darkseid. Maybe right. I need to read more Brainiac comic books. Well, I know Brainiac, but maybe I need to read more. But for me, I'll say Darkseid.
I'm going to say yes. Darkseid and Superman have gone at it, but I see Darkseid as more of a JLA villain. I see him more as the team going after a team. Even though yes, I know he crosses paths with Superman and all that, but I just, I see him less as an exclusive villain like that than I do as than Brainiac. But if we're talking about bigger threats, then sure, Darkseid. But I just think as far as in the Superman rogues gallery, I say Brainiac. And there's a case to be made for Doomsday since he killed Superman.
I was thinking about Doomsday, and I'm like, I think I give it to Darkseid over.
But it's just Brainiac has bedeviled him for so often, shrunk Kandor, and has done a lot of other things. And my God, Mike and I were talking about in the new Absolute Superman, there's a Brainiac take that is just brutal. Amazing. Right, yeah. Mike? Oh, man. Mike said, have you read Absolute Superman, blah, 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 whatever number it was? I said, no, not yet. He goes, you got to read it. And damn.
Do you remember what issue it is now?
Maybe
it was the last issue. I think it was.
I think it was like 8 or something, maybe 7 or 8.
7 or 8.
And it wasn't. And there were a whole bunch of Brainiacs, and it wasn't even the most advanced Brainiac that became the big bad. It was another one of the Brainiacs that ascended through some, some luck, some deviousness, and all. So it was a pretty, it was just pretty twisted issue.
Nice. It's one thing. We're up tomorrow, Comic Character of the Week. Codex Station is revisiting Superman.
Yes,
maybe
sir.
There'll be an episode for Brainiac. One thing, if you want to learn about a character, Comic Character of the Week is where you will learn.
That's right. And like you said, we are discussing Superman tomorrow night. We'll do the Superman revisit. I'm excited for that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question.
No, this is the easiest one of them all.
Oh, no.
Sonny Kruger is the action figures, but Kryptonite is the Superman. Mike said it best. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Everybody else saying right. I say wrong. And there are a lot of people who aren't commenting who are agreeing with me. And they're
oh, please. You know what? You even need to recuse yourself because you're the subject of this. You can't even vote.
Okay, but I won't. But I'll be. Sometimes I'm the voice for the voiceless.
You're the voice of insanity. You know why they're voiceless? Because you rip their tongues out. You maniac.
I swear, innocent.
Bit their tongues out. Bit their middle fingers off so they can't even flip you off anymore.
No, it just goes to show people just don't disrespect me. Just be nice, right?
Look,
be
now
nice
he's admitting it, right? See, you get them
be
talking
nice
long enough
and love each other.
You start saying the quiet part. That's what they get for disrespecting me. You know,
just
they're
be
talking
nice.
about me behind my back.
Let's be
when
nice.
I'm in bed, they're in that bin. They're talking about me.
How dare you say I'm not the greatest podcast host ever?
All right. So we're all agreed. That's a right 10 out of 10. Yep, Mike said it best. 10 out of 10. Crypto is the greatest super pet.
Yes.
Okay.
I
went with yes. Boucher said right, but he also said Dino Mutt, and Mr. Dan Kelly said wrong.
Oh, well, who's Dan Kelly, God?
He said, let's see.
Oh, you know what? You're right. The Beast is the Avengers pet. I like that.
Okay. Anyway, there was a few more things. Yeah, when it came to the dark side talk, so Dan said he thinks the dark side's more for overall.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And Dan said he's a terror. I'm guessing about dark side. And Wes came and said, "Sorry, Sonny, they're not wrong."
No, Dan meant you're a terror. He meant you're a terror.
I think he meant dark side.
No,
I think he all meant dark side.
Well, dark side, Sonny Kruger. What's the difference?
The voice of the voice because you
because you maim. You meant to write maim.
Because you mamas them. Okay. The voice of voice because I maimed them.
Meme.
Let's see. Does Lockheed count? Lockheed was almost going to be one of my top picks.
Yeah,
you know what?
Because I like Lockheed.
Oh, that was a pet.
I think Lockheed definitely would count. Yeah. I think Lockheed would count. I would still put Crypto ahead of Lockheed, though.
Because I think Lockheed's one of my favorites.
Lockheed is fantastic.
But yeah, so Dan Kelly does say that he thinks Dino Mutt.
Okay.
He's the best.
Dino Mutt's a good bit. Gosh, that Hanna-Barbera Dynamite DC crossover, man, that was sad. That was almost tear-jerking.
What was it called?
It was one of the DC Hanna-Barbera covers. Who did Blue Falcon and Dynamite?
Blue Falcon and Dynamite.
Oh, it was with the Super Sons.
Yeah.
It was with the Super Sons crossover. Yeah, the art was great. The story was very touching. Oh, so good. Matter of fact, it was our Super Sons required reading, I think. Hell Cow.
Hell Cow. Hell Cow I like because Hell Cow is an F-lister. Yeah, a while ago.
Greatest in a whole different direction.
And there was one a while ago, a long time ago, when me and Jamie had our topics of the week. So I'm trying to think if I had picked Lockheed as my favorite back then. Dan says he changed his answer to Lockheed. I'm trying to think if at the time if I had said Lockheed or Crypto, but Jamie had went with Jarro, the Starro.
Oh, the Starro that Batman had.
Yeah, I remember a while ago he talked about Jarro, but I just haven't seen much of Jarro. But I learned Jarro's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm fine with it. Crypto.
I'm staying with Crypto. I'm staying with Crypto. So, and then number 5 in the history of comics. The most important comic book of all time is Action Comics #1.
And we all went with right. We just went with the right question, but we were all pretty much on right. Yeah, the one that pretty much is known for getting it started.
Well, I mean, comics existed. I mean, Detective Comics was going with DC. New Fun Comics was going with DC. But without the explosion of what the superhero genre, I don't know that we would still be talking about comics to this day and age, because it exploded what was kind of a niche thing into everywhere. And within 2 years, the comics were full of superheroes, and the form, even though superheroes waned, by 1950, comics had evolved into romance books and Western books and sci-fi books and all these other genres.
Horror books, somebody I know really likes.
That's right. But without that image of Superman holding the car over his head. I don't know that we get there. And the other interesting thing about that, when Wheeler, Major Wheeler Nicholson, whatever his name, the DC publisher, when he saw that image, he didn't okay it. It was just done. And when he saw it, he thought it was ridiculous, and he was pissed off that they published a book with something that, that unbelievable on the cover. The book sells out. And then Superman doesn't appear on a cover again until number 7. It took DC that long to realize that the Action Comics kept selling out every month because people wanted the Superman story in there. Because there were like 8 features. They were 64 pages long, and there were like 8 different features in these big books like Action and Detective and all. And so it was the Superman story selling those. And when Superman got his own book, when Batman got his own book, when Wonder Woman got his own book, the novelty was in those books, the whole 64 pages were devoted to that character. Whereas Action, Sensation, Detective, it was only one story devoted to those characters. So that's what the differences were. So when they got their own book, that was a book concentrated on just their adventures. But it was Superman 1. I say that's the most important, because I don't know if we're sitting here talking on this show today, because the industry, I don't know, would have evolved to what it became without that image of Kal-El holding that core over his head, and the captivated a nation, captivated the nation of youngsters, and even people a little older thought that was a pretty cool thing and got that book. So so I think just for the growth of what happened with the industry, I don't know that the industry exists without that book.
Yeah, and like I said, even to this day, that when people think of comic books, the majority still say, "Oh, like superheroes and stuff." Like you said, there are other genres, like I said, horror and romance and the comedy, but people still think superheroes. Like I said, that they got the whole superhero thing going on. Superman, the Batman, Wonder Woman, everybody. So I do agree.
Mike, you were with us too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. I know in that era there were pulp characters like the Shadow, Doc Savage, and things like that, but they were published in those pulp books where you'd see them on the cover, but the insides were prose, maybe a few pictures. So you did have those characters, but not true traditional superheroes.
Yeah. So very good, right or wrong. Yeah, a little history lesson. Yeah. So sometimes with so much information, sometimes people need to settle down, sometimes they get worked up, and sometimes they need something. So it's time for our random panel of the week. And here's this guy surrounded by smoke, and he says, I need a marijuana. I gotta have a reefer. And the guy says, talk first. Start talking.
Yeah. Talk first, then reefer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, I guess, you can tell this is old, but you're right. Maybe the reefer would have calmed him down, and then he would have started talking. But these guys, all smoking their cigars, just screaming at him as he's freaking out.
Yeah, they won't give him his wacky weed, and they're smoking. They got that old cigar smoke all around him.
Yeah,
he looks like he's Jones and Dad.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I need a marijuana. I gotta have a reefer. Guess maybe they thought, maybe the writers and stuff didn't really realize how people who are, when they smoke weed, that they're not so much like that. I think he might be on some other drugs as well.
Yeah, really.
Speed. He's on speed.
Probably, yeah.
The dude behind him is very calm and relaxed.
Yeah, he's got some reefer.
Yeah,
he took it. He's like,
yeah, man, I'm chill. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, he's like, don't give him the reefer because it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, guys. If you have a reefer, you may end up like this guy. Maybe jonesing for it. I need a marijuana. Gotta have a reefer. You don't want to end up like that, everybody.
I like how it's a marijuana.
Yes,
you need a marijuana.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, you know what? Let me add it to my stuff, my pictures of random panels, and then I saw again. I'm like, let me not forget it. Let me put it this week.
Speaking of random panels, I had one I meant to send Dan. If Dan's still with us, something I saw the other day. And I was
Booze, this
reading.
dude isn't on Reefers, more like tweakers.
Booze.
You're totally right there, Booze.
Yeah, Booze has nailed that. Booze has got him. Yeah, Booze knows exactly.
So, Gary, you were saying that you saw one the other day that you meant to send to Dan.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to Dan right now. See if Dan is still with us.
And everybody, if you want to see random panels like this every single day, you can go to the Facebook page. Facebook.com/comic character of the day.
Hey.
Every single day, there are great, hilarious random panels like this one.
I'll send one to. Let's see. I can probably send it to. Might as well send it to Mike. I'll send it to Mike. I guess I'll send it to Sonny. The random.
Nice.
Yeah,
The random panel last week was they did do a great job picking out a funny one, and it was like an alien. I don't know if it was impossible. It was like an alien, and he had some kind of, I don't know, it was coming from his belt, and it was picking up a bunch of people. And but the way it looked like it could have been coming from something else.
Yeah. So Dan responded. He liked it. He liked that. That's topical for this week. And you know, there's a superpower in there that, man, you know.
I wonder if Supergirl had that power.
I don't know, but sign me up.
Or Superman had that power with Lois Lane.
Oh, you know what? I've got that cover where her legs are akimbo and the shark is coming up there to take a bite of the Y.
Yeah.
So like Sonny likes that too.
I see, yeah.
So that's a great power, right?
Super licking, yeah.
Super licking.
Super looking.
I think Vince Vaughn's dog did that to him at the beginning of Dodgeball.
Dan says I could use some super licking.
Oh, what isn't to like about super licking? Yeah,
I can't say.
I know. Oh no, I'd rather have that than a marijuana.
Yeah.
But you know what else is nice besides super licking?
It's not the F list.
Bubbles.
Oh, bubbles.
Bubbles.
So this is from Savage Dragon. So just go ahead and put it on the F list already. We don't need to go through we don't need to go through any of the judgment. It's just bam, instantly there.
But it's fun. I think you guys need to know a little bit of the history. You know, it's not The Boy in the Plastic Bubble with John Travolta. It's not Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's Bubble Boy from Savage Dragon. And there he is. Over my dead body, villain.
Wow.
There he is.
He's Bubbles.
Made of bubbles. There he is, along with some other superheroes. And he's, you know, as you see, he's just bubbles and he's got eyes. And there he says, huh? What's going on? And even though he's Bubble Boy, this is his first image. And he looks like he's at a bar and he looks like an adult. So I don't know how he got younger. Maybe they just decided to change it. But
he's got a different look there. He looks like something different there. He doesn't look like Bubbles. He looks like he's just got pustule.
Acne Boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect name.
Boy.
Yeah.
Hey, we already do have Cesspool from Savage Dragon, who was on the F list, or who is on the F list. And Bubble Boy doesn't get...
Savage Dragon Wing on the F list.
Yeah, agreed. And Bubble Boy doesn't get too many images when looking for him. I mean, look at this image right there. It's circled. Just
because they pop.
Yeah, at the end of the page, you see a couple bubbles there.
They pop. That's exactly what happens.
And this one is maybe my favorite one. You see the guys, and what does he say there? He says, Bubble Boy A, I suppose you're completely useless. And Bubble Boy says, pretty much. I just came here for the free buffet table.
There you go.
So there you go.
All you need to know.
Yeah. So would anybody...
And what does buffet have? It has 2 Fs, so he's on the double F list.
So guys, I don't know how does he eat, but his body's just bubbles.
I don't know.
Yeah. But all right, guys. Yeah, how does he drink pop, you know? But all right, guys, anybody have the history for Bubble Boy?
Yeah, let's see. There was a boy taking a bubble bath in a radioactive water.
Bubble.
Yeah, radioactive water from Flint, Michigan, got into his bathtub water with his bubbles that he had just gotten, and the bubbles were from New York in the 3 Mile Island area, and they had been irradiated. And when those mixed with the water from Flint, Michigan, it created a mutated bubble boy, and he fused with the bubbles in the water, and that's what he became. And his name is Richard Drano.
Richard Drano. Perfect. Bruce says Bubble Boy comes in handy after a hard day superheroing and you want to slip into a warm bath. Savage Dragon said. That's what he says. I don't know about that with. But okay. So, Uncle Gary, what was that name again?
Richard Drano.
Richard Drano. You may be right because he has no name. There's been no name given to Bubble Boy.
So can't prove it wasn't.
Yeah, so you might be right. He's just Bubble Boy. Like I said, in that image, his first image in there, because his first appearance was in Savage Dragon. Let me find it. His first appearance was in Savage Dragon 24. And there it was when he was in the bar. And then suddenly they decided to make him more like a boy, with the name Bubble Boy.
When Eric Larson was creating these characters, I know he had the marijuanas.
Oh yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I think he had the same kind of marijuanas that the F-lister had.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So yes, as we know, he was made by Eric Larson. Like I said, first appearance Savage Dragon number 24, and he's of course from Chicago, Illinois, like most Savage Dragon characters are. But all right, Bubble Boy's powers are it's just made of bubbles. He can't really fight. And as you can even see there, they even say you're completely useless. I'm just here for the free buffet.
And he can't even eat. All he's doing is getting bubbles on the buffet. So
there you go. On top of it, he messes up the food.
Mm-hmm.
But let's do a little bit of Bubble Boy. Bubble Boy is a frequent visitor of the Freak Outpost Bar. And he was present there during the events of the gang war. He later tried his hand at heroics by applying to be a part of the new look brute force, not even getting a chance to audition, as he admitted, like this image, he was just there for the buffet, so he didn't even get to audition. Bubble Boy was briefly taken on by Kill Cat to form a new version of the Deadly Duo, but was quickly fired. He later also failed an audition to become part of the Special Operations Strike Force. He's not good at auditions, but eventually, for the brute force, he tried again, and they took on his name Bulkhead. Yeah, they took on Bulkhead, and there's where you see Bubble Boy right there. It's like over my dead body, and then Bulkhead just headbutted him, and just came all bubbles.
Just dissipated.
Yep, and then everybody else did the fighting, and they defeated Bulkhead. And there it was when he kind of woke up, and he's like, what's going on? So he technically did join.
You know what Bulkhead would be good at? Super licking.
When you look at him, I don't know about that.
Oh, you don't think so? Bulkhead. I mean, that sounds like somebody be good at super licking.
Well, maybe I'll show you Bulkhead one day for the F list, and you just wonder why I think of Bulkhead with anything. But yeah, so he did eventually join brute force. So that's what's going on with him. Even though he could be defeated, literally just with one headbutt, he just comes back. His bubbles form to make him again. So look at that. Bubble Boy.
I think get soap in your eye. That's probably about it.
That's about it.
There you go. Yeah, you can
turn on the water, and he's going to go circling down.
Yeah. Somehow he's never done that to anybody in a fight. Like you would think the one thing he can do, get a little soap in your eye, but he just gets ready to fight and then just gets popped like nothing.
He's too busy. He's at the buffet table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's spending too much time with Heavy Flow.
That is just.
She needs some bubbles.
Yeah, she needs some scrubbing bubbles.
Maybe she can create some bubbles herself, though.
Those would be bad.
Horrible. Bad man.
All right, boys. So I think we are all in agreement on Bubble Boy.
Yep. Send them over.
There he is.
In the Eric Larson wing of the F list.
Okay, this is right. Bubble Boy joins the F list. And now we get on to our review of a story that is nowhere near the F list. Time to review Superman for All Seasons. All right, let me, before we get on to actually talking about this, this was by Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, and Bjorn Hansen. But before we get to the story, there was something nice in here that Jeff Loeb had written he said about Tim Sale. I think Jeff Loeb said, so Tim Sale left us on June 16th, 2022. We were two kids who started out on DC's Challengers of the Unknown, and over the next 30 years, he took my words for Batman, Superman, and others and made them magical. He told stories in a way that it all seemed breezy, but was anything but that. It was his gift. His artwork was about creating atmosphere through shadows and angles and expression, and believe it or not, desks. He drew the best desks that told you what the character valued, as if Tim was an art director in a film. He loved comics, baseball, the Beatles, old movies, music, noir, food, his dogs, and most of all, the love of his life, Susie. He was kind and funny and an inspiration to us all. I miss you, pal. And that is in the beginning of the Superman for All Seasons. But all right, now we get on to the story.
I just want to say he died in 2022. I think that's the year we lost Perez and Adams too. What losses in that year? Sale, Perez, and Adams. Wow.
Yeah, I remember when we did the Codex Awards, it was so many, especially for the Legacy, it was man, how many passings we had this year. Man. But let's get on to some of the art, some of the work that we all live and we all die, and some people leave behind works that will continue on and live on, will outlive us all. And this is the Superman for All Seasons is a classic story. This is one that they said inspired the show Smallville, and also is one of the biggest inspirations for the Superman movie coming out in a couple of days, which is why I was like, you know what? Hey guys, you feel like reading it? So Superman for All Seasons is 4 issues, and the first one is narrated by Pa Kent, the second one is narrated by Lois Lane, the third one by Lex Luthor, and the fourth one by Lana Lang. This is a classic story. I mean, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. This is the story of Superman before he was the big Superman. In the beginning, we have a lot of him growing up in Smallville, and like I said, Pa Kent is talking about him, and in the end, he does tell Lana his powers, and he does say, I have to go, and she understands that. And then we get him dealing with, Metropolis, meeting Lois Lane, dealing with Lex Luthor, and then even too, we get Lex Luthor's point of view and seeing Superman as bad, and then he has the whole, he poisons pretty much everybody, and there's the antidote in his toxin, a woman Superman had saved, and she's just so excited to be with Superman and saves the day. Superman helps her, and then suddenly she dies, and there's that haunting image. I really like the imagery of Superman's down, he's sad, it's his first time kind of dealing with, he wasn't able to save this woman, she died, and Lex Luthor's behind, and there's the storm and everything, the lightning, and and he's get out of here, you'll never know, you'll always be alone. And he goes back to Smallville, and then he needs a bit of talking, he needs to retrace his roots with his parents, with Lana Lang, to get the inspiration to come back and be Superman. This story is a true classic, and I'm like, it took me so long to get to it. I'm like, wow, what took me so long? But there's so many classic stories out there, but this is another one. I think it is one of the best Superman stories, and I can see why. Okay, this is why, like I said, the creators of Smallville looked at this and said, we can make a whole show out of this. And why James Gunn right now is looking at this and All-Star Superman as big inspirations for the new Superman movie. And there's a feel to it. I love Jeff Loeb's writing to it. It's so powerful as a story. It's not packed with action, but it's just such an intriguing story. Next page. Oh wow, I've run through 50 pages already. I can get through more. And then the artwork, like you said, Tim Sale, and the colors, it's perfect for this story. I think it goes, perfect for Superman. It has some kind of, there's like an inspirational, some kind of a vibe with it. Like with the colors, it just feels very like an inspirational Superman story. So,
and the colors are really interesting because you think about Sale and you think about his darks and his shadows that he does with Batman.
Yeah.
And you're right. The palette that he uses, the bright palette that he uses for this is wonderful.
Yeah. So
I do have one issue with it,
you guys. Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah. Mike.
Yeah. My only issue is that he draws Superman so big. I mean, I mean, Clark Kent, I mean, you look at it, he's huge.
He's a big farm boy.
Yeah, he's like the Incredible Hulk size. And compared to everybody else. And, the one thing about Superman is when the Clark Kent, he kind of just blends in with everybody. You've got this big, giant man, and it's just, I don't know, something about it when I was reading it again, it's just never really noticed that. And it just kind of turned me off a little bit.
I think he made a conscious choice to make him bigger than life.
Yeah.
And I think that he wanted Superman to be bigger than life. And to do that, he also had to create Clark Kent as bigger than life. Right. So that is one of the biggest things of suspending your belief there on that. I mean, and that is the only time I've ever seen this book criticized is there are people that believe that he drew him like a big blimp, but like the Superman float in Macy's parade or something. but I get that. I just think that was a conscious stylistic choice to make the character bigger than life. But visually, you do have it does register on you.
Yeah, it is stunning though. I mean, Sale's artwork is without peer. Yeah.
And well, I'm going to say with the story of it. So it says Superman for all seasons. I think more accurately it would be Clark Kent for all seasons. I believe this is a Clark Kent story, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. I mean, this and don't get me wrong. I'm saying that to make a point that it is, even though yes, we see Superman and we see great heroics in it, it's really about who he is, and it's Clark Kent is who he is. He is Clark Kent. There was, I know we talked about Madsen earlier. I imagine we've all seen Kill Bill. There's a great monologue in the second Kill Bill where, part 2, where Carradine is saying Superman is his favorite character, that Superman is the mask, that Clark Kent is who he really is. That's, he's just this farm boy that was brought, that was, that was raised by people in the Midwest, and it was, so Clark Kent, he's an immigrant, and he's more American than all of us almost. I mean, he is just apple pie and Kansas born and bred, and I just think it's a wonderful Clark Kent story, filled with wonder, filled with doubt, filled with just goodness. And the palettes are so beautiful, and I think it's the story is so good, told from the different perspectives of 4 different characters within the story, but still the center of it all is Clark. And I just think it's magnificent. I love the small town life. The small town life, the way it was depicted, reminds me a lot of how it was depicted in the movie Hoosiers. Where it was just kind of idyllic and just nostalgic, and I just loved it.
Yeah. So, Uncle Gary, I'll ask you first. What do you rate Superman for all seasons?
Remember what was my answer to question 3 on the five statements? 10 out of 10.
Woo! There we go. 10 out of 10 from Uncle Gary. Mighty Mike, how about you?
I'm going to go 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. All right. So we got a 9 out of 10. Yeah, because it's saying it's great. So we got a 9 out of 10. We got a 10 out of 10. And mine, I think you've probably already predicted mine. I, Sonny Kruger, on the Codex podcast with the Codex Station, give Superman for all seasons 10 out of 10. This has quickly become one of my favorite Superman stories, and I highly, highly recommend it. I absolutely love it, and I was very happy to be like, hey guys, are you good to go over it? And you guys agreed. I'm like,
Great.
Oh yeah, we read
good
it.
reason to go over it again.
I tell you, I also, sorry, the little stories in the back that they pulled out, the little prom story with him and Lana Lang.
Yeah, it was nice.
Then
The sad
him
story
with
with the friend.
Yeah, with the friend has cancer and stuff like that. Just great, great additional stories that they put in here.
Yeah, a lot of times the additional stories, I'll read okay, that was fine. But those were all, I thought they were all really good. The additional stories they added, so I'm super happy with it. Highly recommended it. So everyone, Superman for all seasons.
Tomorrow on my 3 must reads, that is one of them for Superman.
Cool.
Nice. So glad to hear it. And then next week on the Codex podcast, said to have Sal the Slab Guy come back. We're still deciding on what story we're going to review. This story, I will say this story, last week, Dan and Jamie, they reviewed the last Avengers story, and they did not seem to like it too much. So I'm glad we got this one where we were very high, Money Mike with the 9 out of 10, Mino Kagiri with the 10 out of 10 for Superman for all seasons.
So the lovely redhead and I are going to see it on Friday, so I'm looking forward to seeing
nice. Yeah, I got to find a time to go see it.
Enjoy. Yeah, I'm looking to. I'm like, wait, when's a good day to see it? Yeah, so hopefully next time we're all here, we could say we've all seen it. I'm hoping that before the next episode, I could say I've seen it.
Yeah,
just watching out for those spoilers. And then soon, so upcoming things for the Codex podcast, guys. We're gonna have to have the uncensored episode sometime. We'll decide that more when it's uncensored. We review the Pro.
Oh, the Pro.
I've even got some F-listers that can only be on an uncensored episode.
Heavy Flow shouldn't be on an uncensored one. Damn it!
Just wait till you see who I've got for.
No.
Just wait. But then and then too also with Fantastic Four coming up, we'll do an episode reviewing the Galactus trilogy. So a lot of great things coming up, and then of course the Codex podcast isn't the only thing that has stuff going on in the Codex Station. Tomorrow, comic character of the week, we'll be revisiting Superman. One of the stories you're picking out. Look at that, Mr. Keith.
Hey, Mr. Keith.
Mr. Keith.
Hey, brother.
We're towards the end, but you can always go back and watch the show from the beginning. It has been a great episode, and right now, just talking about some other upcoming things. Like I said, we got the Codex comic character of the week, revisiting Superman. We've always got comics unleashed over the weekend. There's the new Codex series. That's the Creator series, which James interviewing other content creators who are in the comic book community too. Always new things from the Codex Station. And of course, every Wednesday, the Code X podcast. And yes, what do we love? What's something we all love here? Most of us. It's getting comic books, and especially if they're free. That's why there is July's giveaway is getting some Superman comic books, which includes there's a video. You can check it out on the Codex Station. Dan shows the comic books. He gives you all the ways you could enter, like always being subscribed and tagging people. Each tag is one entry. So you tag 500 people, you get 500 entries. You can get the first appearance of Metamorpho, the first appearance of Superboy Prime. So always great things to check out. Check out the Codex Station every single day. And now I can say it's been a great time having you all here. I'm glad to be back. And I'll see you all soon. Take care. Have a day. Have a week. That is a 10 out of 10.
See ya.
See ya.